All right, guys, so I finally got to the point where I can start working on the car again. Been doing the shop and getting everything installed in my office and some of my tools over here that I use. Got everything pretty much the way I want it, and it's pretty functional. Got the bay lights in. Really lights this place up. I mean, this, you can see the difference of if I shut them on and off. They're super bright. But yeah, those work really good. I'm really happy with them. It just lights this whole shop up really good. So I have a few, like I said, I have a few cosmetic things to do still. Do finish the painting. I want to finish all the painting. I also bought barn door hardware for this here. So there's going to be a bracket that goes across there for a barn door, and then I'll have to make 2 doors for right there. But other than that, I mean, I got everything put into my shop, everything put into my office, so everything's functional. So what that means is I can start messing with the car again. And we're gonna start with some of the basics of what you gotta do, you know, to change your fuel system. I mean, it's pretty simple as far as, you know, with a Fox body. You gotta drain your fuel, obviously. We need to drop the tank, pull all the fuel lines, clean everything up as far as the hard lines coming from the back to the front, because we're not going to be using those. We're using the PTFE lines. And you know, I have everything. I pretty much have everything I need. I'm not sure if I'm missing a few things here and there, but this is probably going to be a multi-day video. There's no way I can get it all done today. But today I'm just going to start by getting it up on jack stands. All right, so we got it on jack stands, and let's go into the car, and then I'll show you guys where, on this particular car, since it was a 4-cylinder, the fuel lines come out in a different spot than they would on the like a GT or a V8. So I'll show you guys where those lines are. I'm gonna disconnect them and then put a tank under it and drain the fuel. Okay, so as you can see right here, these are the factory 4-cylinder Mustang fuel lines. I mean, they're tiny. They're like the size of a brake line. So for this car to do what it does with those size fuel lines is, I don't know, it's a testament to what you can do with stock, you know, with stock stuff. So, but right there's where it hooks up. I mean, I even use the manufacturer's quick connects too. So, and then just spliced it right here to the fuel lines that go up to the fuel rail on the JZ. So yeah, that's where I'm going to drain them right there. And obviously you can see through here we have to take all these out and all the way to the back. So let's get that drained and we'll go from there. All right, so I got the tank in there under the car, and I just ran a little silicone hose from the fuel line over to the tank, and as you can see, it's starting to fill up right now. So I'm not really sure how much gas I have in the tank. When I did the fuel pump on this thing, and wow, it looks like that might be it. The pump's starting to make a little different noise, but yeah, when I did the fuel pump on this thing, and I basically removed all the sending unit because I don't have the Fox body dash in there anymore, so I never really knew how much gas was in the car. But oh yeah, and by the way, the fuel system that's on this thing and it went mid-10s is just a 255, a Walbro 255. And the stock fuel lines, and this thing went mid-10s. I mean, that's pretty impressive, I think, for that little bit of a fuel system. So anyway, the Walbro 255 pump that's in this thing is like brand new. It's only 6 months old or something like that, and then only track passes. So I'm thinking I might put the fuel pump into this truck, my Tacoma. I haven't forgot about the Tacoma. I have plans for that too. It's just, you know, this whole thing got in the way. So I still have this motor over here, sitting and waiting, thinking of some options for that. But anyway, I may put that fuel pump into there, just so that I know that I know what that fuel pump is capable of in this car. So if I ever do put a 1J or a 2J in the Tacoma, I'll roughly know how far I can push it. So, all right, so we ended up with about 2.5 gallons that was in the tank. So it's totally empty. That was a little less gas than I thought was in there. So, and I was actually driving it around in the area I live, and I was always worried that I was going to run out of gas, and 2.5 gallons is not a lot of gas. But anyway, okay. What I do when I'm doing like a little project on something, this is the way I've treated this car from the beginning, as far as when I'm building it or changing something or doing anything. I try to stay as organized as possible, and to me that's one of the most important things. So what I always do is I take a table like this, and I'll lay everything out. Like I'll lay out everything that I have that I need, so I can visualize what I have, you know, and what's going on, what's going back onto the car, what's coming off, or whatever. This will help you stay, you know, on point on what you're doing, because it's easy to get lost if you just start putting stuff everywhere and you don't know where it's at, and you'll get confused, and then you'll end up on the forums asking crazy questions. So, okay, so anyway, what I can start with is pulling the fuel rail fittings, okay? The stock fuel pressure regulator is here. I'm gonna pull that, okay? The 1JZ uses this adapter right here, okay? If you can, hopefully you can see that. It's a 12 by 1.25 millimeter adapter, okay? So that's basically what it looks like. It fits onto your fuel rail on both ends. So this will fit right here. And then I have the Dash 8 coming off of that. I know that, Dash 8 fuel system is a little overkill. This thing would be, I could probably make 700 horsepower on a Dash 6 line, but you just never know. And down the road, if things change with this car, let's say we put a V8 back in it or something like that, at least I'll already have the lines, you know, all installed. I won't have to redo anything. So it's always better to go over than under. The cost difference is so minute to go from 6 and to 8 and that it absolutely makes no sense to not do it. So anyway, let me start getting some of these fittings off the fuel rail, and then I'll show you guys how to put those on. We have to find a place to mount the regulator. Okay, we got the regulator we have to mount somewhere. I'm thinking probably over in this area here. I don't know, maybe there, or right there, or down here maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what works best. Not 100% sure right yet. Okay, so here's a tip for when you're using these fuel rail adapters that have the little crush washers, the aluminum crush washers on them. You want to make sure you don't over tighten those. Over tightening them will guarantee a leak. You just want to tighten it until it's snug. Like just snug it up, and then what you're going to do is when you pressurize your fuel system, you're just going to go around and check. And if it leaks a little bit, you tighten it a little bit more. If it still leaks, just a little bit more, and then until it stops leaking. Then once it stops leaking, you're done. Very easy to over tighten. And then if you deform that washer, you got to replace the washer. So you don't want to do that. All right, so we got the first one on, the Dash 8 right there. And then off of that, we're going to be probably doing, say, this 90 here. Okay, so what you want to do, or this is the way I do it. I have to always preface that when I say things, that this is the way I do it. This doesn't mean it's the right way. What I do is when I'm doing a fuel system, I'll put all the fittings on. I'll mount the fuel cell, I'll put all the fittings on the fuel cell, put the fittings on the, I'll mount the fuel filter, mount everything. Just mount everything, mount every fitting where you want it to go. Then you cut your lines afterwards. What you'll do then is you'll just take your hose and cut each one exactly how you need it. You just string it along, you know, you take it from this fitting over to the next fitting, and you leave yourself just a touch, you know, of slack so that it's not tight. You want some a little bend in the line. You don't want it to be like to where it just fits onto wherever you're attaching it to. So that's the way I do it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put every fitting on. I'm going to mount the fuel pressure regulator. I'm going to put all the fittings on that all the way to the back. This is going to take a little time because I know that I still have to mount the fuel tank. The fuel tank is just flopping around in here right now, so I need to mount that, which means I'm going to have to come up with some brackets. Probably going to get some, I have a piece here. I know that something like this strap here, and basically just put it on, you know. This is really dirty, I'll clean it up, and then just bend it around, okay, and then do a flat piece underneath and weld that. Or I may not weld it, I may bolt it so that I could get it off if I wanted to. That would probably be the smarter thing to do. So, and then I'd somehow attach it to the floor of the trunk. Not quite sure I'm going to do that, but that needs to be done before we go any further with cutting lines. I mean, what I can do is kind of guess. I can set the tank in here where I think I want it, and then run lines that way, but I would prefer to have it mounted completely. So, and then a good tip on these Fox bodies is this is the way I did it before with the fuel cell. If you look, there's a hole right here. All Fox bodies have that little hole, and what my plan is to mount it in a way to where the 90 degree is going to go right down that hole. Okay, so I don't have to cut any holes in it because this will be gone. That's the tank right there. That's the gas tank, so that'll be gone. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so here's an example of how I found a good spot for the fuel pressure regulator, and this is how I do it. So I hooked up a fitting here, and I kind of made it so that it lined up. You know, you want your fittings to have, you want your lines to kind of have straight lines, so you don't want it too many bends. So this lines up with, as you can see, this fitting here. So you look, it just lines right up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed it down below and then back up. So there'll just be a little slight, I don't know, loop you could say. So once you get your everything where you want it, you basically just take your line like that and get it to where you want it over there. Say, you see, because you're going to have to insert it into the fitting. So it's going to be about right there. And then this one will be, it's hard to do with one hand here. It'll be roughly in this area here. So that's where we're gonna cut it. We're gonna cut it there, and it'll still have a nice loop to it. All right, guys. So these PTFE lines are a little tricky. You have a ferrule that goes on the Teflon part. As you can see here, there's a little Teflon part inside the braid. Okay, so if you look at the fitting, they come with these little ferrules. It's aluminum ferrule. That ferrule goes on the PTFE part. You push it all the way down. It's going to bottom out in here. Okay, and then you fray this back a little bit so that you can get it all the way to the bottom. Okay, now when you bring this up, this is not going to go up because this is too much hanging over here. So what I like to do is trim it back to where you can see there's like a little, well, I'm not too close. you can see there's a flat part here, and then it starts to radius down. Yeah, hopefully you can see that. It starts to radius down there, like in this area right here. So that's where I like to have this braid kind of meet up with. So you're not running the braid up into the threads. You don't want this braid, all this stuff here, to run up into the threads. You want it to just catch the bottom of it, and then this comes up and squeezes your ferrule. You know, the fitting comes up, squeezes the ferrule onto the PTFE, and then that's sandwiched between this aluminum fitting and your the fitting you're hooking it to, which would be this part here. So you're basically sandwiching it between the two. Okay, pretty simple. I'm not gonna go and, you know, do a whole big thing about it. I just want to show that it's really not that hard. Careful you don't get cut, because these things will cut you. I mean, you're gonna get cut anyway, so what's the difference? Just, you gotta just deal with it. So anyway, let me get these done, and I'll get this one put on, and then that's probably gonna do it for this video. It's gonna be too long if I just keep going on and I do the whole entire thing. It's gonna be like an hour-long video. So yeah, at least we're getting started, and hopefully this lockdown thing is over soon, and we can get back to the track. I'm really itching to get this thing back to the track, and especially with the E85 and a new tune and more boost. So, but yeah, anyway, let me put this on, I'll show that, and then we'll probably finish the video. All right, so here we go. We got our line made. Both fittings are on, and I'll show you how the slack I like to keep. Just bear with me here. It's hard to hold on to this at the same time. So there we go. You can see I have a nice little droop in the line. You don't want any lines that are like tight. Like you wouldn't want to go straight across. So it's got a little droop to it. You got to remember also, the engine's not solid mounted, so the engine's going to move a little bit. So anything's connected to your apron here, you want it to have a little bit of slack in it so it can flex. So there we go. We got our first line done. Looks really good. And yeah, just expect, when you do fuel systems, expect it to leak. Expect, when you pressurize the system, you're gonna find something that you're gonna have to go back and tighten up, or hopefully not redo, but so yeah, this is not gonna be that hard. I mean, you can see that's how you do it. You just, our next line will be, I'll go off the back of the fuel rail. I gotta pull off this banjo fitting here. Yeah, right here, the banjo fitting. This one's gonna be tricky because we're gonna have to figure out a way. This fitting here, we're gonna have to use, definitely gonna have to use another 90, which I don't have. So it looks like I'm gonna have to buy another 90. But anyway, this fitting is very close to the firewall. So, let's see. Yeah, it's going to be about right there. And then the 90, I've only got about 3 inches, maybe 2 inches. So it's going to be tight. It's going to be real tight on the firewall there. But I think it'll fit. I definitely think it'll fit. So, but we'll see. But yeah, guys, anyway, yeah, that's the fuel system. I mean, we're making way here. So, the next video, what I'll do is I'll videotape how to make the brackets and all that for the fuel cell, pulling out the fuel tank and all that. That's all, it's really easy stuff. You get under the car and drop the fuel tank. The fuel tank usually lands on you, and then you just kind of drag it out. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys learned something, and if you did, like and subscribe, and probably the next video, I'll have the back of it finished. We'll get it fired up and adjust the tune for the E85, and that's pretty much it. We're ready to go. The only other thing I might want to do is get a bigger intercooler, because I've been having an issue with the IATs, the intake air temperatures, which is this sensor here. They really go through the roof on this with this little intercooler. This little intercooler is, see if I can show you guys. It's pretty small. I mean, it's only, I don't know, the size of my hand here. It's only maybe 8 inches height-wise, and I mean, I have quite a bit more room to go up and then also come down too. So I can get a much bigger intercooler in there, and it's normally on like the second run. Like if I make a pass and then kind of do a hot lap, go back and make another pass, the IATs go through the roof, and then what happens is it pulls timing, and it's not good. We need to definitely address that. So, but other than that, I will see you guys soon.